Okay, so part 2, making your basket base. You've got your ball of rope. You need your crochet needle that we curled in the first video. Ignore that bit, I set that on fire. And thread it with a piece of baling string. And just put your needle through this end. This is your finished loop. Just the bit that you started with before you re-round the ball. I'm going to put it through there, just tie a little knot, leave just a standard knot like that, leave a tail, and then we're going to fold the rope sort of about the length of your needle, probably about that far, with the tail in. Turn it round. You're going to use a string to wrap around this just a few times, wrapping the tail in. Don't wrap it too tightly, you need some gaps between here, so that, hang on, come back on myself. Doesn't have to be too neat, and I'm doing it in a different colour just so that you can see what I'm doing. So this basket now, what we're going to do, we're going to spiral the rope round and round and round like that, fastening it together. So we're going to wrap it around that top piece and stitch it through the middle of here. And then same again around that piece. Around that. Go through all the middle of everything. And as you get to the end, we're going to keep wrapping around and stitching it through the middle. This is the most difficult bit. Once you get past this bit, it's really easy. Try and keep everything tight, nice and tight at this point, because this is going to be your centre of your basket, so we want to make it to be nice and strong. Keep it straight because you want to get like a flat plate at the end of it. Oh, I've just snapped my needle, that was clever. So many times you can set fire to your needle before it gets a bit weak. And basically you just keep going round and round. When you spiral, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like that. So in the first baskets that I did, when I was doing my stitching, after I'd done the centre, I would wind round that rope once and then stitch through. and then wind around the rope once without going through the next layer, you see, and then stitch through the next layer there. You don't always have to go through the middle, you go through the last one that you did. So there I'm sort of skipping every other stitch, if you can see, but you end up with more of a gap there. I'll show you an example. There we are. When you skip one stitch and take one stitch and skip one stitch and take one stitch, you end up with a bit more of a stretchy and gappy material that's a bit more flexible. When you stitch every stitch without skipping, you end up with a much tighter and stiffer basket. It's up to you, whichever way you want to do it. Now you quickly come to the end of your string. So for adding in more string, I use a so-called magic knot. There's YouTube videos to show you how to do this. But basically, it's a simple knot that goes through another simple knot. So, knot like that. And a simple knot like that. So you've got one knot through the other like that. Pull both ends to close your knots. And pull on the longer ends. Make sure that everything's really tight. That's not going to come under now. Now leave those tails. Sometimes it's a bit better if you leave longer tails actually. And then I thread my needle again. And you're just going to carry on stitching. Through the last loop that you did, pull everything tight. Just pulling the knot through as well. Behave. And you can leave those tails in. You can either cut them out later, but I tend to wrap around them, therefore tucking them in a little bit tighter so they can't unravel. So I'll catch that one as I'm going along, that way. This one, when I come round to it later, I just lift it up and catch it in the next loop. So you're just hiding it. You can see it more with this different colour, but if you use the same colour string for your rope and your loop, you really can't see that once it's finished. Like I say, this looks messy at the moment, but it's just so you can see what I'm doing. This is the tail from the start. I'm just going to wrap that in as well. So now you should have a flat circular or oval shaped base, and mine is, depends on what size you want your basket to be, but this is, let's see, about 12 inches across. So now all you have to do to work up the sides is, instead of adding your rope next to it, next to the last rope, you're gonna add the rope on top like that. It doesn't matter where you start on your circle. Just the same. Just make sure it goes on the top as you're doing it. You need to keep adjusting it as you go around, but once you've done one layer, maybe two, it will start to stay on the top and build your wall. Remember, keep stitching around your previous layer. You can even stitch around the previous 2 layers if you want to. It's your basket. But if you're doing it in alternate colours, you might want to be a bit tidier and stay with just the one. So can you see how it's coming up and making a wall? And just keep going round and round. And if you ever feel like you're running out of rope, you get to the end of your rope, just stop stitching, make some more rope.